This video is brought to you by Brilliant. One of the big but slightly underreported results from last month's European elections was a sharp uptick in the number of so-called non-inscrit MEPs, i.e. MEPs who don't belong to a group. The sheer number of them, plus the fact that many of them are on the radical right, meant that a new right-wing group was always a possibility, and over the past few days it's been reported that the AfD are leading the creation of a new group called the Sovereignists. So in this video, we're going to have a look at who might join the Sovereignists, their policy platform, and what this means for the European right, more generally.
Before we start, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing and ringing the bell to stay in the loop and be notified when we release new videos.
Firstly, we should probably start by giving a very quick overview of the right wing in the European Parliament. The largest right-wing group is the mainstream European People's Party, or EPP, comprising traditional conservative parties like the CDU in Germany and Les Républicains in France. There's then the European Conservatives and Reformists group, or ECR, led by Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, who are to the right of the EPP and are generally slightly Eurosceptic. Finally, there's the Identity and Democracy group, or ID, which is to the right of the ECR and led by Marine Le Pen's Rassemblement National. ID parties are often described as far-right and generally pretty Eurosceptic, but stop short of actually advocating for leaving the EU. All of these right-wing groups made gains at the European elections, but in a way this actually understates the success of the right, because there was an even sharper increase in non-inscrit MEPs, from 62 to 98. Many of these are right-wing parties considered too extreme for ID, including the AfD, who were expelled from ID just before the elections after the AfD's former European leader Maximilian Krah told an Italian newspaper that members of the Nazi SS weren't necessarily criminals. Right after the European elections, where the AfD did remarkably well, coming second in Germany and winning 15 MEPs, the AfD expelled Krah. The AfD were here presumably hoping that this would be enough for Le Pen and ID to readmit them, but this didn't work. Since then, the AfD have been canvassing support among other right-wing non-inscrit MEPs to see if they could form their own group to the right of ID. According to the European Parliament's rules, any group needs at least 23 MEPs from at least a quarter of EU member states, so 7 countries. This is a pretty tall order, but in the past few days, reports have emerged that the AfD have found enough fellow travellers, and they're about to create a new group called the Sovereignists, apparently nicknamed the Hooligans by other European parties. So which parties could be in this new group, and how many MEPs could they bring with them? Well, the largest party in the group will be the AfD, who currently have 14 MEPs, or 15 if they bring back Krah. The next biggest party would be Poland's Konfederacja party, which currently has 6 MEPs. The party is staunchly anti-immigration, and in their 2020 programme, they stated their goal was to turn Poland into an ethnocracy and culturally homogenous nation built around traditionalist Catholic principles. Next is Bulgaria's pro-Russian Varazdane party, or Revival, the third largest political force in the national parliament, which currently has 3 MEPs. Varazdane's popularity in Bulgaria has steadily climbed since 2021, and the party has managed to capture a Eurosceptic electorate in the country. Last year, the party launched a petition to propose postponing Bulgaria's adoption of the euro, and managed to collect over 650,000 signatures, significantly more than the 200,000 required for a referendum. Varazdane has also called for a public referendum on withdrawal from NATO and normalisation of relations with Russia. Then we have Spain's Se Acaba la Fiesta, or SALF group, founded by the social media personality Luis Perez Fernandez, which managed to gain 3 seats in the European Parliament this June. Operating on an anti-establishment, anti-corruption platform, Perez managed to win the support of some 800,000 Spanish voters, disillusioned with mainstream Spanish politics, by promising to blow up the system. The Romanian irredentist and nationalist populist SOS Romania is also a possible candidate, led by Diana Șoșoacă. Entering the European Parliament for the first time this year, SOS Romania currently holds 2 seats. Șoșoacă has demanded Romania's withdrawal from the EU, and the party is also a proponent of Greater Romania, demanding that Ukraine return the territories it apparently annexed from Romania in 1940. Then we have Slovakia's Republika party, which holds 2 MEPs. Republika defines itself as anti-vax, anti-LGBT, advocates for Slovakia's withdrawal of NATO, and wants to suspend government support for NGOs, especially those that are, quote, rainbows and Soros organisations. Then there's France's Reconquête party, led by Eric Zemmour. Reconquête originally had 5 MEPs, but 4 of them left and joined the ECR after a disagreement between Zemmour and his deputy Marion Maréchal. Their remaining MEP might join the Sovereignists. Next is Hungary's Our Homeland Movement Party, or MHM, which currently has 1 MEP. Similar to SOS Romania, MHM's leader has said in the past that he will lay territorial claims to the Transcarpathia region in Ukraine, bordering Hungary, if Ukraine loses the war with Russia. MHM has also said that they would initiate a referendum on Hungary's withdrawal from the EU. Finally, we have the Greek Orthodox nationalist Niki party, which currently has 1 MEP. The party was founded in 2019 in reaction to Greece's signing of the, quote, treacherous EU-facilitated Prespa agreement with North Macedonia, which Niki sees as a threat to Greek sovereignty. As such, the party has become opposed to further integration into the EU. Since 2019, Niki's platform has focused on what it describes as the values of the Orthodox Christian faith, and it's now vocally anti-abortion, anti-immigration, and anti-vax. So what would this new group's policy platform be? Well, as you can probably guess from their individual policy platforms, collectively they'd be focused on opposing further EU integration, advocating for what they describe as Christian or traditional values, and withdrawing support for Ukraine. Nonetheless, even if there is some overlap between the various parties in the Sovereignists, there's still a fair bit of ideological disagreement. Some parties want to fully leave the EU, while others want to reform it, and some parties just want to push for peace in Ukraine, while others want to get rid of NATO altogether. It's very possible that, as time goes on, the group's cohesion frays, especially as, ironically, given the name Sovereignists, none of these parties here are particularly good at compromise.
Looking around the political stage, there's a good number of people who are probably eyeing up new jobs at the moment, so it might be a good time for Rishi & Co to grab a subscription to Brilliant. That's because Brilliant is the platform where you learn by doing, with thousands of interactive lessons in maths, data analysis, programming, and AI, all of which are important skills whether you're currently in the jobs market or just looking to learn new things. As existing users will already know, Brilliant is a uniquely effective learning platform. Their first principles approach helps you build understanding from the ground up. Each lesson is filled with hands-on problem solving that lets you play with concepts, a method proven to be 6 times more effective than watching lecture videos. Plus, if you are looking for a new job, say you're eyeing up a move to California to get into tech, Brilliant's growing number of programming courses are a great way to build foundations and learn real-world applications. Their courses help you learn essential coding elements, from loops and variables to nesting and conditionals, as well as developing your mind to think like a programmer, building a strong foundation in writing robust programs. To try everything Brilliant has to offer for free for a full 30 days, click on the link in the description. Plus, when you do subscribe, you'll also get 20% off an annual premium subscription.